My name is Eric Altman with Vodia. I'm sales engineer here. And today we're going to talk about what's new in version 66. So we're going to go through things on the release notes and cover all of that. And I'm just going to dive right in here and we'll get started. So the first thing I want to talk about, departments and buildings settings. So this is a cool feature for domains that have like hundreds of extensions, where loading the list of the extensions adds unnecessary burden to the app and the PBX. So what this implementation is going to do, improve the visibility of the users based on department and building location, and makes it easy to know at a glance who's part of your department. These fields can be used to define what extensions the users will see on the Vodia apps. Now, by limiting it to the department or the building, the list can be kept short, so less burden to the app and the PBX. Vodia also will provide the domain administrator a status view of where each extension is located and what team they belong to. And here's how it works. Under the extension settings, under account profile, you're going to enter the department name and building. A building can be a floor or a unit number. And once you set this up for your first extension, Vodia then is going to proceed to create that department list. And you can use this list to assign users based on departments and building locations. The Vodia announcement feature can now notify single or multiple group accounts on the system. This feature is found in the paging account under call announcement. And here you can set what type of messages the Vodia PBX can announce using a SIP paging unit, something like a cyber data unit. There are 3 announcement modes available on version 66 besides the anonymous announcement. One's going to be to include the caller ID. So this is going to play back the caller ID number of the inbound call to the users on a SIP paging speaker, like a cyber data endpoint. The second way would be to include the number of the called account, and that's going to announce the account number of the group. Or you can do both, include both the caller ID and the number of the called account. This is going to announce both of the number of the incoming call and the agent or hunt group account number when it makes that announcement. You can see, this can be used in a lot of different applications to announce the incoming calls on Teams, door video intercom, schools, university, hotels, even emergency evacuation. Microsoft Teams. So I'm not sure if all of you are familiar with our integration with Teams. It's an easy integration with Vodia. It's going to auto-generate Let's Encrypt certificates. You can host multiple Microsoft Teams domains. We're offering the traditional PBX features to those Teams users. One thing is with our built-in session border controller, the built-in SBC, we can offer voice routes to different trunk providers, different than what Microsoft could offer you, just Microsoft. The team members can have a DID on the PBX as well as non-team members. One of the key features is being able to receive and make calls from a Teams member to a non-Teams member and vice versa. And you can use your existing IP phone with Vodia to call a Teams member. Also, conferences can be used by team members, so the conferences can be built with both Teams and non-Teams members present in that same conference. And as a user, they can mix and match between using the Teams communicator, the Vodia app, the WebRTC portal, and desktop phones. So Vodia can now reformat numbers based on the domain country code for new countries like Spain, Chile, Japan, Austria, New Zealand, Italy. For example, when you set the country code for Spain, country code 32, Vodia will reformat the DID into a global 9-digit number automatically. Manager roles. So extensions can now be assigned the manager role for the domain address book. This extension will be able to manage and create entries for that agent group. The idea here is this avoids giving staff domain administrator access for maintaining the domain address book on the Vodia phone system. Basically what that means is you don't have to give someone a domain administrator right. You can just make them a manager and then they can go in there and add and delete and edit entries. Call recording on the apps. So the apps now have better control over the call recording. For example, turning call recording off upon a caller's request. It's now possible through the GUI. You can see there in the graphic how there's a record button that can turn recording on as well as off. MWI notification feature has made it onto the Vodia app, so now the apps can receive a message waiting indication when a new voicemail message is available, and that's even when the app isn't active. So you're going to see that number 2 down there showing you that you got a couple of unheard voicemails. Transferring. So the transfer in the apps could be a problem depending on who was calling who. The new transfer, it's better designed on the API side and reduces those problematic cases. So to transfer on the app, you would click on the left arrow to transfer out. There, the app provides you with a transfer dialog box, and then you can transfer to a destination. So that means either extension or even an outside line. Version 66 has brought new updates for German, Spanish, and French texts to better fit the local language. More time zones were added as well, including Chile. So when it comes to the push server and the push location, we automatically set the nearest push server during the installation. And this helps to reduce the delay during call setup, especially outside of North America. So CMC and the CDR, so the client matter code is now displayed in the call detail record. In the domain mode, if you click on that record, it's going to show the call details, including the redirect reason if it's available. Call forwarding conditions. So we've added call forwarding conditions so that, for example, only internal calls are being forwarded or something along those lines. So now you can forward based on a condition rather than just straight forwarding all the time. Music on hold actions. This is kind of a cool one. When a caller's on hold, the PBX can perform actions depending on the user's input. So these actions would include either call redirection, sending a message, a text message, or even triggering a generic HTTP request to an external application server. So that can all be done while the caller is on hold. Virtual hold is talking about a queue. So when a caller requests a callback in the ACD, they're now called back when it would have been their turn, which is the way it should be. In the previous version, callers would have to wait until the ACD itself became idle, and that could take a long time for busy queues. So now, basically, if someone sets up that callback, they're going to be next in line. They're going to get that callback. It's not going to wait for an idle queue. Names in the auto attendant. So when dialing a number through the auto attendant, the name announcement depended on the mailbox setting previously, but in the new version, the name will be played independently from the mailbox setting. So anytime you're transferring from the auto attendant, it's going to play a name, and it's not based on their mailbox setting. The pickup time, so the default mailbox pickup time, we've increased that from 20 seconds to 30 seconds. And this became necessary because the app could take a couple of extra seconds to ring. So the person answering the call had only a few seconds to pick it up. So we increased that time from 20 to 30, where it's actually going to go into the mailbox. Showing the MAC token. So the PBX uses an automatically generated token for every MAC address. This token can now be shown to the system administrator. It makes it easier to manually set up remote provisioning for VoIP phones, so the phones can fetch the configuration at any time without having to, what we used to have to do is open up the MAC address for pairing. So you don't have to do that anymore. Now these tokens will take care of that. There's a new setting for the address book. Users now have a categories field where they can enter a category for that user's department. This can also be searched across all the Vodia platforms. And when you create a new category, it's saved in the system. So now it'll be available to assign to new users. So it'll just be a drop down here, and you'll be able to pick the category that you want to put that user in. Some fixes that were done for version 66. On the graphs weren't showing the right information, especially the registration graph. The PBX was also allowing empty registrations to be added through the web interface, which could result in extra registrations without having any operational impact. Those registrations now are deleted upon restart. Deleting dial plans. If the administrator deleted a dial plan that was still in use, this was causing hard to find problems when placing calls. So now the PBX will check if a dial plan is still in use, and it'll reject the deletion if that's the case. MongoDB, when the connection to the database gets lost, it could happen that the PBX wouldn't find the right time to resume sending the pending transactions to the database. Now it does. Trunk change emails, the email for informing the administrator about trunk changes was broken. We fixed that. On the Vodia IOP, turning SSH on and off is now done through the system commands instead of trying to write the files. And this makes it easier to maintain this as the underlying operating system goes through updates. On the Vodia IO, when the list of DHCP clients grew too big, the system was struggling to display them. So the new version will show them faster and can show a lot more. And also the status display of the LAN port was fixed. DTLS, these packets were not captured in PCAP files previously. They are now. WebRTC, the previous version was still using an old WebRTC API call that wasn't available on some browsers, so we've upgraded that. There were some bugs with Safari compatibility while playing back audio on Safari and navigating users and showing reboot options, so we fixed those. On call pickup, when someone was trying to pick up a call that wasn't available for pickup, the PBX would send the call back into the dial plan. The new version instead is going to just play an error message. And then the welcome emails were being sent twice after creating an account. They'll only be sent once now. And some things with interoperability with phones. So with Snom, there was a problem provisioning Snom phones. That was introduced when we added the SC series devices. Some of those phones were sending really large LDAP queries that were consuming a lot of resources. So those queries are ignored now. With Yealink, new firmware versions for Yealink that support downloading JPEG images from the LDAP directory when the call comes in are now available. The new template uses that feature, and for older versions, it has no effect. We also added a few models, the T30, 31, and 33 PG models. The Htek was having some problems resolving DNS names for LDAP servers, so the new version provides the IP address rather than the DNS name. We also made some changes in Fanvil and Poly for some of the older Polycom models. And with Deutsche Telekom, we've made some of the latest updates for the Deutsche Telekom trunk, and it includes the possibility to receive faxes without T38, and that's necessary for receiving faxes from all devices in their network. So that's been done as well. And that's what I got for you. If you guys have a support inquiry, you can always send your request to support@vodia.com, or you can open up tickets at vodia.zammad, Z-A-M-M-A-D, as you see, .com. There's a link for our documentation, doc.vodia.com, where you can find answers to all these things. If you /software, that's where you're going to download. That's where the downloads for the software are. And obviously, sales@vodia.com. We're always here to answer any questions and help you with onboarding and all. And like I said, that's what I got. If anybody has any questions, they can throw them into the chat field. And we'll be happy to answer any of those questions that you might have. So feel free to type something in your chat, and we can answer those questions. I see a question of when are the next sales webinars. We've got webinars coming up. I think 3 of them are on our website, but we've got a whole fall series. As far as the webinars go, just go to our website and you'll see a training and webinar link under the account menu up at the top. And you can register for our upcoming webinars. Like I said, we've got at least 3 of them scheduled and probably a potential of up to 6 before Thanksgiving. All right, I see some other questions. Can I white label the apps? I believe you can white label the apps. I've also got some of my engineers on this chat, so they might be able to answer the question. So I've got a question about SMS with API version 3 and what was changed with MongoDB reconnecting. Personally, I don't have those answers right this second, but I can answer this one. Someone's asking about training for the PBX software, the complete software, from opening the box until deploying. And that's something that you just need to contact us and we can set up training. We've been doing a lot of trainings lately, speed trainings, whatever it takes to make sure that you guys are comfortable with everything. ACD improvement someone's asking about. I mean, probably the one ACD improvement was on the callback feature, which is a great feature, being able to not wait in the queue, but just set it up so that it'll call you back and keep your place in line. And that is something that works now, whereas before it used to wait until the ACD was idle. Now it's just going to call them back in the order that they were received or that they were in the queue. And okay, so looks like a couple of 2 questions I'm seeing, or 3 questions, which I don't have the answers to, and I'm not seeing my engineers chime in here. So we will go ahead and get back to you guys on that. We have a record of everything here, but the 3 things I'm going to get answers to everybody on: SMS with API version 3, what actually was changed with MongoDB, and white labeling the apps, which I believe can be done. There may be some caveats there as far as how deep you can go with that, so we'll get an answer to that as well. Documentation, I mean, you can get our release notes right on our website. Someone's asking where to get that. So the release notes is going to basically cover everything that I covered today. And doc.vodia.com is where you'd go with any questions about anything. Pretty much that's searchable documentation that you can get your answers. Or document can be uploaded and sent out. Someone's asking about outbound faxing. We do not do that through the system. So we do have inbound faxing, so there's no way to upload a document and send it out as a fax through our system, at least. I don't believe we have any problem handling customers with numbers in multiple countries. As far as connecting them, because the PBXs would be connected, or the SIP phone is hanging off of it in another section. I can add that to the list as far as questions that we need to clarify and make sure. So handling customers with numbers in multiple countries, again, I don't see that as a problem, but I'll get with my engineers and get clarification. And yes, this webinar will be recorded, or it is being recorded, so we will have this posted shortly on YouTube as well as probably our blog. Let me see. Okay, I think I covered the answers that I could give you guys. The rest of them, like I say, will be we'll probably just send an email to the group that was on here, all the attendees, with answers to those questions, so that everybody can benefit from that. And it looks like it's slowing down, or no more other questions. So I'm going to go ahead and close out here. If you do have any further questions, certainly feel free to contact us. Sales-related question, just write to sales@vodia.com. If it's support-related, support@vodia.com. I mean, as far as email, those are your quick answers by sending any questions there. And like I said, we'll be getting the answers to those other few questions out to you shortly, as well as a recording of this webinar. So thank you everybody for joining us today, and I appreciate your time, and keep selling out there, and any questions at all or any concerns, feel free to contact us. Thank you all. Have a great day.